You have reached the Geek Elite. Good luck.
How can you not like a show where the neighbor boy's name is Boner and everybody's cool with it?
What if you found a portal to a parallel universe? What if you could slide into 1,000 different worlds? Where it's the same year, and you're the same person, but everything else is different. And what if you can't find your way home?
Welcome back for another issue on Imagine If. We are talking about the Spinner Rack this week, all the new comic books that are coming out on Tuesday and Wednesday from our big comic book companies. Then we will get into a little bit of WandaVision episode 5 on a very special episode. And then we will get into our, DC characters that have not been made into TV series or live action movies yet, and we have some social media followers that like to chime in about that. So, to get started, Chris, what is on our Spinner Rack?
All right, so it's the second week of the second month in the 2021 year, and you're going to have your two big companies, so we get double the comic book day. Yeah, there's a lot of twos in there. I'm sure Harvey Dent would be proud. But let's see. This Tuesday from DC Comics, you will have American Vampire 1976 issue 5 out. So Scott Snyder and Raphael Albuquerque are teaming up to get their wonderful series out there. It is February, so we do have Valentine's Day coming up. So if you want to impress your sweetheart, or if you want to read about love because you don't have much in your life, then check out DC's Love is a Battlefield one-shot. There's going to be, what is it? It's a $10 book, so it does have a hefty price tag, but you will be getting a lot of stories in there. So just to keep you fans listed, if you're collecting for your character's sake, there will be a Batman Catwoman story, Hawkman Hawkwoman, Wonder Woman Steve Trevor, Mr. Miracle and Big Barda, Nightwing and Starfire, Sergeant Rock and A Tale of Lost Love, Kid Flash and Red Arrow, Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, John Stewart and Fatality, and the one that is the most shocker of all, Amanda Waller and Perry White. So if you want to see those couples get it on, or how they would get together, this is definitely the book to check that up.
So you're telling me they're going to have the government and the media in bed together? I don't know about that.
That's already reality, so it's not too far-fetched. Great, Scott. We just got to... Okay, so here's one to throw at your fun creative mind. All right. So Perry White and J. Jonah Jameson, right? That's your DC Marvel. So if you were doing a Marvel version of this, right, who do you put J. Jonah Jameson with? Who's like your Amanda Waller-esque character there?
Oh my goodness. Who is Amanda Waller over on the Marvel side? Like the closest thing I could think of is Henry Gyrick, but I don't know. We're going to do J. Jonah Jameson and Henry Gyrick together.
I can see them meeting at the same barbershop for sure.
Yes, definitely. That's most definitely.
I almost see Silver Sable because, she's a field agent, but she also does her own, Black Ops unit, so that could be interesting.
Okay, I get you. I get where you're throwing down there. Yeah, no, I can't really think of anybody. That's a stumper. I don't know who my Amanda Waller is in the Marvel universe.
Well, there you go. That'll be, maybe there's a future episode for us.
Yeah, I will have to do that.
All right, well, let's see. Moving along, Future State continues. So Future State Dark Detective issue 3 will be out.
Oh.
And looking at... Oh, go ahead. What you got?
It's Maria Hill.
Oh, there we go. Good old Flat Top and Maria Hill. Match made in Helicarrier.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
I like that. I dig it. All right, let's see. So anyway, so this is Dark Detective issue 3 is out. This looks like the big one. It looks like, according to the cover, now it might just be a last page blurb, I don't know, but it looks like we will have Bruce Wayne meet the next Batman. So this could definitely be a very fun one to pick up. Future State Green Lantern issue 2 will be out. This time we've got Hal Jordan on the cover, so you will get the part 2 of John Stewart's adventure. We will get a Teen Lantern adventure, and Teen Lantern comes to us from the Young Justice Group. So Teen Lantern is formally getting introduced into the GLC, and then the Hal Jordan issue. And I got to look at that part in advance. I will tell you this: if you're a fan of I can't think of it, Muller, I want to say, but I think that might be wrong. But the Far Sector Green Lantern, definitely pick this one up because I think it's going to plant some seeds for what's going to come in the next Green Lantern series. Future State Justice League issue 2 will be out. And then we will be getting some second printings. So Future State Kara Zor-El Superwoman number 1 will be getting a character gosh, I'm losing the word there, but a character sketch cover for the design. Excuse me, I'm just getting too hyped about comics. Robin Eternal issue 2 will be out. I know I'm actually excited for this one, just because issue 1 left on such a great cliffhanger. It'll be pretty wild to see how Tim Drake and company get out of this one. Then we will also have Future State Superman and Wonder Woman teaming up for their issue 2. So pick this one up because who knows, maybe in 2 years from now they might say Superman and Wonder Woman, no, they never got together. So that'll be the comic to save for the evidence. Future State Teen Titans number 1 gets a second printing character design. And this one's very nice because it'll feature the Deathstroke Nightwing with the Red X character in the background as well, which is perfectly timed. Oh, go ahead.
I don't think we can just breeze over that. Why is it Deathstroke and Nightwing together in that concept costume?
So I flipped through it quickly. I haven't really sat down and read and analyzed it. But in this potential future, the Teen Titans have just gone through even more traumatic disarray than before. And it almost seems like Dick Grayson is basically saying, like, I have to stop the Titans. Like, I've led them and we've been in too much turmoil and too much loss and too much damage. So therefore, if I'm the one who leads them, I will have to be the one who destroys them. And since that's pretty much been the motif of Deathstroke, that's why he's like fully embracing now that, you know, if you live long enough to be the hero, then you'll eventually become the villain. So it kind of seems like that. Plus it's great shock value, you know. I do find it interesting that is kind of considered one of Nightwing's least favorite costumes, that 80s, 90s costume that he had, the one right after Disco Wing, as they call it. So it does look kind of cool, though, when you put that mask on it. So it'll be very interesting. So I'm one of the fans that I'm going to sit and wait, because this way now I could read issues 1 and 2 together to see, okay, what is going on? Because I'm very curious. Like, is this going to be, you know, a quote unquote parallax moment for Dick? What will happen? Will he come out of it? Will he stay that way? How does this even relate to Future State Nightwing? You know, so it's definitely something. But I do know Red X will be part of Teen Titans going forward. And if you were a fan of the cartoon series, I don't know which one, I think it was Teen Titans Go, we had a moment where Nightwing does join Deathstroke and he did wear the Red X costume. So maybe that's even more of a tie to be like, oh, well, here's how Red X is related to Nightwing, Dick Grayson once again. So it'll be very interesting to see. But yeah, no, I'm very curious too. I kind of chose to sit and wait, and we'll see what happens. But speaking of character designs, the Future State The Flash number 1 is getting a second printing, and it'll feature Barry in his, oh my God, I don't know what to call that thing. It's just absurd. It's every rogue and Barry with a beard wearing Jay's hat with like things popping out of him. Yeah, this is just crazy.
I was gonna say, I see the boomerangs. I don't quite. And I see Jay's helmet. I don't quite get the rest of it.
Yeah, so it would look better if it was in color because you'd see some of the stuff. But it's like if you look on his hip, you can see he's got the holster, so that's probably the cold gun. And I think like he's got the prankster's bag on him, so that's the circle shapes there on the bag. So I think that's what that represents. And then like the gauntlets, I forget which character they're from, but yeah, basically like the Speed Force is gone. Wally is like a Speed Force vampire, and he's hunting down old Flashes. So they've had to get to the point where it's like, okay, we're using the rogues to defeat this vampire evil Wally thing. So it's definitely something else. I mean, I did read part 1, and it was interesting. It definitely took me back, especially with the Dale Eaglesham art on there. It felt like a very, post 2000 DC comic again, which was nice. But where they're going with it and how it'll affect Wally in the Infinite Frontier is very interesting, because I know Wally fans are definitely going through their own Hal Jordan days as we went through it back in the day.
Hey, looking at that picture, what would you think of a storyline where Captain Boomerang and Green Arrow had to either team up or they were fighting each other, and at one point they switched weapons? Like, would Captain Boomerang be able to shoot an arrow straight, and would Green Arrow be able to throw a boomerang accurately? I
feel like Captain Boomerang would probably be more successful than Green Arrow would be. Because, and I know the argument is, well, there is a boomerang arrow, so it's not unfeasible for Ollie to know how to do it. But I don't think he would. I think Captain Cold would be like, oh, this is just a straight line. This is easy. There's no challenge to it, which would be fun, because I think that would really get Ollie's goat even more. And he'd be like, freaking A, But that would be kind of interesting. And just too, even for their personalities, I think that'd be fun to play with, because they're both kind of womenizers. But Ollie definitely sees himself as more the heroic, and I could see like I can't think of Boomerang's name right now, but I could almost see him being like, "Hey, mate, we're gonna go over to this bar and go get a couple shrimp on the Barbies, right?" And Ollie's like, "That's uncouth of you," and it's like, come on,
Harkness,
yeah, Harkness. There you go, Digger. That's right,
Digger Harkness.
I miss his son. I thought he was such a great character.
I thought he was a good character too.
Bring him back. But yeah, but no, I think in that one, I think Captain Cold gets the advantage. Let's see, moving along. The Green Lantern Season 2, Issue 11 will be out. This is one of the books I got to review. Some good stuff happens here. Definitely, if you're a new fan, I would not recommend picking this up without reading the previous issues of the Morrison Sharp team up, because there's a lot of throwbacks to previous stuff. But holy crap, there are some nightmares in here. We have like Viking-esque warriors riding spiders swimming across a lava lake. Yeah, that's right. Don't read this at night. But the ending was pretty cool, so it definitely sets up for issue 12. Rorschach number 5 will be out, and this is another one that I'm also reviewing. This is the big issue. So this is definitely going to lay a lot of the seeds for what's to come. So I'm very excited. I can't wait to see other fans' reactions as well. Sweet Tooth, The Return will be back. So Jeff Lemire brings his character-created project to life again. And then for collected editions, if you were a fan of Planetary, they will be getting the Absolute hardcover edition from Warren Ellis and John Cassaday. Aquaman will be reprinting Echoes of a Life Lived Well. So this will definitely feature some of the Kelly Sue DeConnick adventures of the Jason Momoa Aquaman comic book style. Batman, The Joker War will be collected as a hardcover. Here's a blast from the past. Green Lantern, Circle of Fire will be getting a new edition trade. Yes. I would recommend this book. If you were a fan of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, pick this up, because it really does play with concepts of what ifs and things like that. Now, again, there's going to be a twist, and I don't want to spoil it for you, because I don't know if you remember it, Mitch, but dang, the twist, it threw me for a loop. I was very surprised. But, we got some great concepts here. I would almost say this is like laying the groundwork for Spider-Gwen, because one of our newly introduced Green Lanterns was, I can't think of
Alex.
Alex. Yeah, there we go. Alex, where she lived in a world where she survived, and Kyle was the one who got fridged. So what a great story, great art, beautiful stuff. So I'd recommend picking that one up.
It says various writers on that, but who was the main writer?
So Judd Winnick was the main architect behind it. Yeah, because he did like the framing books, Green Lantern Circle of Fire 1 and 2. He may have done one of the inside books, but yeah, that was mainly his baby. Because at the time, he was writing the Green Lantern book too.
Because when we come out of this is when we get Ion, right? In which I remember that was. Well,
we didn't get Ion out of this, but it was near that era.
It was near that era, yeah. So yeah, that was his thing.
Yeah, that was his big thing there. But we did get Oblivion. That was the big thing there. So that was part of the equation that leads to Ion, because a lot of people forgot about that. It was that extra energy from Oblivion mixed with the leftover power of Parallax in the Sun and Kyle's Green Lantern ring.
Well, we also
that's
had,
how we get Ion.
Didn't he have some power from Nero also?
I know Nero tried to get it. I don't know if he got anything from Nero.
Oh, okay.
But I know he did. Like, both of them were kind of like, okay, we need to get this power, because that led to one of the weirdest comics ever, where we have a naked Kyle Rayner fighting a naked Nero in his torn up trench coat, fighting for the power.
You say kids. you say strange, other people say kink.
Yeah, comics were progressive even back then. But great story. And what I like about this trade too is you actually get some of the background issues. So issue 129 through 136 of the Green Lantern series of that day. So I think that's great. And if you're a fan, you're going to get some Firestorm, Adam Strange, the Atom, Power Girl, and various other Justice Leaguers popping into this one as well. So a great mix of just unique teams, chemistry, and wildness going on. So fun stuff. And then, of course, the new Hawk series, Hawkman by Robert Venditti will get volume 4, the Hawks Eternal. So here we get to see more of the romance of the Winged Wonders. And then flipping it over to the other side, going over to Marvel. So these will be books that are coming out on Wednesday. So save some money so that way you can return to your LCS. Let's see here. We have Amazing Spider-Man issue 56 getting a second printing. I'm excited about all this stuff. I like the concept of what's going on with Harry, but I don't like the fact that this story is still going on all the way from like damn near issue 1. So Nick Spencer, please end it already. But just in time, Amazing Spider-Man issue 59 is out. So the return of Mr. Negative is on board. So if you missed him, he's back. And this is a neat variant month that they're doing. Some of the comics will have the old Marvel Masterworks style banner to them. So they have that very white marble background and then a Marvel Universe frame with the character poster, or not character, but a character picture poster style in the center. So I thought those were great, homaging the original Marvel Masterworks that were printed back in the day. Daredevil issue 27 will be out. I know I'm excited about this. I gotta say, I didn't really care for King in Black at first, but then after reading Death Metal, I was like, all right, you know what? This heavy metal concept's got me intrigued. So I bit, and I've been enjoying King in Black. And I'm not going to read all the crossovers. I'm not going to lie to you. There's just way too much. But the crossovers have come into books that I do read. And I did enjoy the Guardians of the Galaxy. I thought that was great. And this Daredevil one with them crossing over, holy crap, dude, that was awesome. So highly recommend picking up this issue. If you haven't read issue 26 by now, there's something wrong with you. I'm going to say it. But we have a fully possessed Matt Murdock. So Prison Matt gets an evil symbiote attack. And then we're going to have Daredevil Elektra versus Typhid Mary possessed by a symbiote. That alone is why you need to pick it up, because that's insane. So
wow.
Chip Zdarsky and company, great stuff. Keep it up.
So let me ask you this. We have right now we have both companies doing heavy metal crossover projects, right? In the past, we've had rap comic book crossover properties. Do we get country music here in the future at some point?
Yes, you do. The Rawhide Kid and gosh, who would be the DC equivalent?
It'd be
I know they've got cowboy heroes. Oh, the Vigilante. You do the and you have those guys, and they're just sitting on the back of a Chevy singing about Fords.
See, I was going to say Jonah Hex, but sure.
Oh, there you go. No, I think Jonah might be the better pick. But hey, the more the merrier. Eventually you could go into the forgotten era of cowboy boy band country style music. I think wasn't that like mid 2000s? It was very short lived, but there was a while there where country was trying to go boy bandish. So there you go.
All right, so there we go. That's our big crossover. I don't listen to country music at all, but as soon as we get there, we get to do this country comic book crossover thing. It's going to be let's see. It's called heavy metal, or is that what's it's called over at DC right now?
Oh, well, you had death metal and then King in Black. So this one will be gosh, I'm trying to think what some
it's Marvel Cowboy Up, and DC would be Out on the Range.
Save a horse, drink a beer, or something like that. I don't know.
That's right.
All right, you heard it here first, folks. And we're sorry for that. All right. Well, let's see. Moving along. Eternals issue 2 will be out. So if you want to get a sneak peek for the next big Marvel property that should be blowing up, definitely check this book out, because whatever happened before doesn't matter. It's all about what's happening now. Excalibur issue 18 will be out. Fantastic Four issue 29 will be out, which also ties into King in Black. King in Black issue 1 is getting a second printing variant cover, which features a nice image of Noel himself. So definitely pick that one up. Black Panther will have a one-shot tying into King in Black. So how does T'Challa stand for this craziness that has come to the Marvel Universe? King in Black Thunderbolts issue 2 will be out. So the wacky team is going to basically face this whole crazy situation. And looking at the cover, so I forget who was on this team, but it looks like we have Batroc the Leaper, Taskmaster, and some others. So and what's wild is you don't see the symbiotes conjoining to them, so that's how crazy they are, that even these symbiotes didn't want to deal with them.
Was that Moonstone? Was Moonstone one of them?
I think you're right. I think she was one of the characters in there. So, but yeah, definitely. I really haven't heard much feedback. Oh, Star is one of them too. The Infinity Stone that came to life. So definitely interesting to see there. Let's see. Morbius Bond of Blood one shot will be out. So if you want to get some more insights to another potential Marvel property that could be blowing up, definitely check this one out as well. Power Pack issue. Oh, go ahead.
Well, we know that, with the movie that was supposed to have already been out, do you think that we're going to be seeing more of Morbius in comic books in general? Or do you think it solely depends on how well the movie does?
I think it's at this point, because they've done a lot of hype, because if we remember last week, they had Morbius's first appearance reprint. There's been at least like 2 more collected editions that popped up. And even with this one, with the creative team behind it, you've got Ralph Macchio as the writer and Tom Riley as the artist. And Tom Riley tragically passed away a couple of months ago. So actually, no, I'm sorry. I'm mixing up my artists. My fault. Tom Riley, he's not on any current books. So this could be maybe having a creative team in the wings waiting, or, but yeah, I definitely think it's going to be, let's see how those numbers look. And then we'll decide if we're going to have, Morbius the vampire getting his own book, or, I think he works well if you stick him with Blade and other supernatural characters and just have the Spirits of Vengeance or something to that point.
All right. Honestly, it's just something that I'm interested in, because I never found the character of Morbius interesting. So I know with the movie coming out, one, they'd want to push him before the movie comes out, but then also if the movie does well enough, he'll be integrated into more stuff. And I just don't see how that can happen.
Yeah, no, he's definitely a tough sell of a character because, you know, he's a Spider-Man villain. At the heart of him, he's a Spider-Man villain. And there are characters that do great, but they just can't carry solo books. But yeah, I could definitely see the spotlight coming on him, though, if that movie does well.
Okay.
Let's see. Moving along, though, Power Pack issue 3 will be out, so they will be dealing with Outlawed, so no more kid heroes. Sword issue 3 will be out. Now, if you're excited for Sword because of a certain TV show, please be advised this will be entirely different than what you'll be going to expect. This is the actual comic book Sword, where they deal with outer space craziness, not craziness. Taskmaster issue 3 will be out, continuing his miniseries. And again, here's another character. You know, he's on the poise to be really awesome because of the Black Widow film. But again, that got paused due to everything. So that could be real interesting to see what they do with him. There's a Wolverine anthology book, Black, White, and Blood. Issue 3 will be out. So a lot of creators coming together to give us some crazy adventures of old Logan himself. X-Force issue 17 will be out. And then for collected editions, we have Captain America by Ta-Nehisi Coates, Volume 4, All Die Young. This has been a spectacular series, so I highly recommend it. Going back to what we were just talking about, Morbius, the Epic Collection, Volume 1. So if you want to get some of his crazy old school adventures, check it out. I love on the cover.
I just wanted to say, before you get too far going, go back a couple books, and the book was by Ta-Nehisi Coates?
Yes.
Ta-Nehisi Coates,
Captain America,
yeah. If you also want more about this writer, one of our shows on Geek Elite Media, Love of Pages, is doing a book about him. Or not about him, that written by him. It's called The Water Dancer, I believe. So if you tune in on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, you will be able to listen to that podcast of the book group Love of Pages.
Oh, nice. That's cool. Yeah, he is a very versatile writer, and I'm glad that he's come over to comic books to share some of his imagination. Great stuff. Well, let's see. Kind of piggybacking backwards again, Morbius, the Epic Collection. So I find that really interesting. The one major thing that I am excited about with this is you're going to get some Gil Kane art. So Gil Kane, one of my favorite artists, co-creator of the Hal Jordan Green Lantern. But yeah, you can definitely go check this out. And as I was mentioning too, I love this cover because that's Blade right there. That's his old school costume back in the day. So green pants with a brown jacket. Yeah, that's a far cry from our cool leather-cladded, badass guy. So this one will take you back to Amazing Spider-Man issues 101, 102, Marvel Team Up issues 3 and 4, Fear, Giant-Sized Superheroes, Vampire Tales, and Giant-Sized Werewolves. So again, all just showing that Morbius was not a title lead character. He was just showing up. So, here's how you definitely say, hey, this character has a movie. Let's make him famous.
Yep.
And then one more. This one comes from my heart. These are definitely lost tales, but it's definitely worth checking out. X Factor. Epic Collection Volume 1 is getting a reprint. So this is called Genesis and Apocalypse. Definitely an interesting book because it started off very rocky. So Chris Claremont had retired Cyclops. He had him marry Madeline and life was going to be good. And then this writer, I can't think of his name right now. But anyways, so Layton was his last name. But anyways, he had this idea of saying, well, hey, what if we have a book with the original X-Men? And they're like, well, you can't because Jean's dead, thanks to the famous Dark Phoenix saga. And a young intern, Kurt Busiek, had an idea. And he's the one who said, hey, what if it wasn't Jean? What if she was different and the Phoenix took her over? So that led to the whole famous Cocoon. So we got Jean Grey back, and there you go. That led to X Factor. Another fun fact about that, it would have been Dazzler. She was poised to be the 5th member of X Factor, and there was going to be a big relationship between Beast and Dazzler. So sorry, Mitch, you don't get the sparkle fur or whatever cool relationship we can come up with. But yeah, so anyways, check that one out. Some great stuff there, building on the ever-loving adventures of the O5. And that is your spinner rack.
Very cool. What a very big spinner rack it is. Let's go ahead and talk about WandaVision episode 5 on a very special episode. If you have not watched the 5th episode of WandaVision yet, please pause the episode, go watch that, come back, listen to what we have to say, because we are going to spoil it. Biggest thing, you have to get right to it. Evan Peters showing up as Pietro. They very much make a big point of, in the beginning of the episode when they're having their little sword FBI multi-agency debriefing, that Wanda does not have a code name. She has never been called Scarlet Witch. So that would also imply that Pietro never got the Quicksilver code name. So, with all that being said, we have Pietro show up, who I don't even know if he was called Pietro, if Evan Peters was called Pietro in the X-Men movies, if he was just called Quicksilver, or even if he was called either one, if to be honest.
Didn't they call him Peter at one point, I think
they just called him Peter. Yeah, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So how do you feel about that? What do you think the implications are?
So I'm excited that they did bring up the fact that her superhero name wasn't used. I think that's great. I would love to see how it's going to happen. Because the code names are interesting. I like the fact that we're looking at Quicksilver, because I do feel that character got robbed in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You got a pretty solid actor playing him, and then you kill him right off the bat. And it was just like, wow, that was insane. The Marvel or the Fox side of stuff definitely played him up. They made Quicksilver a fun character, even though he's not even remotely close to his comic book counterpart.
And in the X-Men universe, the Fox X-Men universe, he didn't have a twin sister. He did have a younger sister. They never called her Wanda or anything like that, but he never had a twin sister. So that's also interesting.
And then that's even curious too. Like, is that his adopted sister, or is that, or is that supposed to be Wanda? So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays up. The fact that he knows that they're related is pretty wild.
And then we also saw that Magneto have a younger daughter in the next X-Men movie, X-Men Apocalypse. So, but that one is not, I don't believe, supposed to be Wanda either, and nor is it supposed to be Polaris. This is a young woman that can control animals, talk to animals, speak, do stuff with animals. So I don't know. Like, the fact that Evan Peters shows up at the end of the episode and he is all for, hey, any love for your brother kind of thing, was very interesting, because to me that implies either whoever is manipulating Wanda or Wanda herself knows of alternate universes and knows that in this other alternate universe there's a Pietro.
Yeah.
Even if this isn't the Pietro from that universe, it's someone made themselves look like that Pietro.
Yeah. No, that's what's crazy. So I mean, it definitely it's a jaw-dropping, brain-tickling cliffhanger of an episode. So it's like, well, what does this mean? But speaking of Wanda, one thing that I did find interesting, she now has telepathic abilities.
You know what? I said the exact same thing. Is like, I never knew that I've never seen her have telepathic abilities. I looked up her wiki afterwards, and it was already there. There was already articles written about it, but I can get it as more as like she can manipulate people's brains in a way, because she's alternating or altering reality, but I never took it as she can read people's minds. So that is two different
that way.
Yeah, two different versions of telepathy, if that's what you're gonna go with. But yeah, that was an interesting thing that they said, telekinesis and telepathy, and I was like, never really known her to have telepathy as a power, but still makes sense.
Yeah, 'cause it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy how she went, because even then, like, magic was not her natural ability. Like, I do like the fact that we're finally calling them hexes. I think that was great because that's been all the way since her first appearance. You know, she had her hexes, her mutant ability hex. That was the language used back in the day. But it was just, she just had the ability to manipulate probability, you know? So it's like she's a conscious 20-sided die, you know, where it's like, okay, I want that to happen, poof, it happens. I don't want that to happen, poof, it doesn't happen. That was all she had. And then eventually she did start studying magic because of her culture and meeting Agatha Harkness. And so it was like, hey, you know, why not learn how to do this? So now she has a grasp of magic, and she can also enhance it more with her probability altering hexes. So, but you know, it's been one of those things where if people have an idea of what a character should be, then they can, you know, do certain things because of that lack of knowing the full history of characters. So I did find that interesting.
Another big part of the episode was the kids, the twins, the brothers, Tommy and Billy, both aging twice in the show, but not just aging, but aging in front of Agnes, the neighbor.
Everyone. Yeah.
So that was very
and I thought it was interesting that they could control it. Like they chose, because with the whole, like the dog part, which we'll talk about in a moment, but like the two kids looking at each other, or even, you know, like they were like, hey, let's, you know, how old do we have to be to have a dog? 10. And they just look at each other and whoop, you know, so it's like, wow, they're controlling it. So that's some interesting power possession on their part.
Mm-hmm. Another big part was when the terrible interim director of S.W.O.R.D., Hayward, decides to send in a drone. Well, I guess technically this is Monica's idea to send in a drone, but it was Hayward's idea to put a missile on the drone to attack Wanda. And when they're about to fire on her, the whole screen goes black, and a version of Wanda, or at least the version that we're most used to outside of this show, in her somewhat Scarlet Witch outfit, pulls the drone out, brings it out, and throws it at them. And it's like, hey, don't come in here. You come near this thing again, and I will kill you. Like, it was a very intense standoff moment. And I don't know, do you feel like that was actually Wanda? I feel like it was someone pretending to be Wanda.
It's tough because, like, I feel like it is Wanda, but you're right. Like, the language, the mannerisms didn't seem very Wanda-esque. I feel like whatever's enthralled the people of the city is also enthralling her to play along with this, because I feel the moment when they were like, hey, you know, you've taken these people. She kind of, at least to me, it felt like she kind of had a pause. And I feel like that's like the real Wanda, like, but then it was like, I don't care. These people are here. This is how we're living life. So it was like, okay, that doesn't seem very Wanda-esque. So I think you're right. Like whatever's controlling things is either puppeting Wanda, or maybe that was, you know, an avatar looking of Wanda to come out there for that. But yeah, that didn't seem totally in Wanda's character or style.
Yeah, and it was very intentional that they went to black when the drone got taken down, and when they returned back to seeing Wanda in the TV show, the WandaVision TV show, she is back in the 80s clothing. And then it is also very intentional when Vision is talking to his coworker Norm. Norm, when he brings him out of the trance, which is kind of cool because Vision has that ability for whatever reason to kind of get people to come out of their trance for a little bit. He kept saying she's inside my head. She's making me do this. She's keeping us here, instead of saying Wanda. So to me, that's very telling too, of we're not giving away exactly who it is that's doing this, who is the one that is inside their heads.
Yeah, that's a good call. So it makes you feel like it because you're playing off your reaction and emotions, but you're right. There is going to be something more. So who could that be? And speaking of Agnes, she really acted very different this episode. I love the part when she comes in and she's like, oh, hey, you know, I heard the kids, I'm here to help babysit. And, you know, even Vision is like, oh, you know, we should have been expecting you, blah, 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 blah. But I love the awkwardness of that when, like, when she's like, oh, well, I'll take him. And, Wanda's like, sure, please. And then Vision's like, no, she's not taking him. And then Agnes was just like, should we run that again?
Yeah. Yeah. She's like breaking character, going like, should I go from the top? And to me, that's very much like, I'm going to throw Vision off. Like, it's to make Wanda seem like she's the one that's in control. When actually it's Agnes who's in control, because she knows that more things are going to be happening right now. And she's going to be, manipulating the family very much in this quote unquote episode. They are going to end up, every time something big happens in the group or in the episode, Agnes is there. Like, she is very much pushing them towards having kids in the first 2 episodes, or bringing up the idea of kids to the point where they eventually have kids at the end of the second episode, or they are at least pregnant at the end of the second episode. She is bringing up, all the stuff about the dog and bringing people back to life, or bringing the dog back to life, and all that stuff. And then, oh, look at that! At the end of the episode, someone's been brought back to life. So I definitely think Agnes, and if it's true what people have been speculating, that she is Agatha Harkness, is a big part of that.
Yeah. So that's going to be interesting to see. Like, this episode is making me very suspicious of her. I mean, last one, there was some of that element, but this one definitely, it's like, okay, she's, like, I was reading something and it was kind of, they brought up a good thing where it's like, because she is the one who essentially calls out Monica Rambeau. She's like, oh, she's not like us. She doesn't even have a home. And somebody said it like, it was like a good tactic of a villain is to call somebody else out.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're calling them out is exactly what you are as well. So it's like, oh, okay, she's an outsider, and we haven't seen Agatha's home as well, so what does her home look like? We don't know. Who is this? Her husband, Fred? We don't know.
Was it Fred or Ralph? I thought it was Ralph.
Oh, you're right. Ralph. Yeah. Ralph.
So last thing I wanted to bring up was with Monica Rambeau. Obviously, a lot of things happen in this episode, but we're just kind of hitting the big parts. Her scans. Yeah, her scans were not of a normal person. Her x-rays looked all weird and stuff like that, but she didn't have time to look at it again. We know, as comic book readers, that Monica Rambeau is at one time a Captain Marvel, a Photon, and her mother's call sign in the show was Photon when she was a pilot. She had one more name, didn't she, when she was a superhero? Or was it just Photon and Captain Marvel?
I think it was just Photon and Captain Marvel, I believe.
Do you think that this is a result of going into Westview, or was this a thing that happened to her before she went away in the blip?
I hope that they're saying that she had the powers, and maybe this is what's being triggered now to protect her. So, like, she had powers before the blip, and then after the blip happened, it's kind of like, okay, her powers might be awake, and then once she went into Wanda's world and being kicked out of there, it's like, okay, now her powers are like, I got to start protecting you. So this is, what's going on. And yeah, because it was interesting, because again, it leads to light with the x-rays, and her being Photon, she has power over light rays. So, we don't get to see her, like, nothing penetrates through. So it almost shields her. So maybe that'll even explain how she was able to survive when Wanda threw her out of there, partly too.
Yeah. So when we had, I mean, you have a lady that was a part of S.W.O.R.D. before she blipped away. Between the 1990s, when she first re-meets Carol Danvers as Captain Marvel, and then Infinity War when she blips away, there's a lot of time that she could have been hanging out with Carol Danvers as Captain Marvel. Like, there's a lot of things that could have happened in that in-between time. So we never know.
Yeah. Well, and something I found interesting, I kind of felt like she got soured when they mentioned Captain Marvel.
So did
I. Don't know, did you pick up that vibe?
I definitely picked up that vibe because she said, Wanda could have killed me. Wanda definitely could have killed Thanos. She almost had him. If it wasn't for the blitz that Thanos called down, she would have won. And then Randall Park or Agent Wu said, well, yeah, Captain Marvel also would have done it. And she has a very definite, like, anger face on at that moment. Now, is it because they had some kind of falling out, or is it because she just didn't want to be reminded of Captain Marvel at that moment? I don't know.
So there's definitely something there. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out, for Captain Marvel 2 or wherever it may come up. So yeah, definitely stoked for that.
Okay, Chris, let's get into talking about what we'd like to see in the DC Universe live action TV series or movies. We once again put it out to our followers on social media to find out what it is that they would like to see. Over on our Instagram, we had John Camarena, who we talked about last week, is one of the hosts here at Geek Elite Media. Live action Eradicator Superman. Very specific character there. What do you think about an Eradicator Superman, Chris?
So I think it'd be fun. I could definitely see it as like a miniseries, kind of have him there as the protector of Kal-El, just because that was the original motivations of the Eradicator before the death of Superman. But, Henry Cavill's not doing much. He looks good for Superman. So, if we're not going to do Superman, maybe that's the way we do it. So that could definitely be something interesting to watch. I think you'd get better luck, though, if you do the 4 Supermen. I think that'd be fun. Like maybe have Steel and Superboy there and, a nod to Cyborg Superman as well. But definitely Eradicator's a fun look. I know he was my favorite Superman pick for when people were asking, well, which one of them is Superman?
Yeah, that's that honestly I think that's the best thing that you could do, and I don't know why we haven't seen that yet, but the live action version of the Reign of Superman, like to me that would make the most sense. You get 4 different characters and you get 4 different adventures, and then eventually you get to see the betrayal of one of those Supermen.
Yeah.
Over still on our Instagram, we have Mars Skyler. He wants Animal Man. Now, how would you feel about? Oh, why did I just lose Animal Man's name? His real name.
Oh, Buddy Baker.
Buddy Baker. Yes, Buddy Baker. How do you feel about Buddy Baker on the live action?
I would watch that. Buddy, like it's funny. As a kid, I remember there was like the 1990 DC Universe trading card set. And I loved it. Like, I just thought it was so cool because I'm learning about all these heroes. Because, kids, we didn't have Google. And what, like Animal Man, and even one of your heroes, and I'll mention this again when you get to it. But like, there were some trading cards that stuck out, and Animal Man was one of them. And I just thought, oh, what a cool concept. And I mean, I only had limited knowledge from what the card could say, probably less than 100 words. But I thought it was neat. Like, here's a guy who talks to animals. So in the vein of, Dr. Doolittle, take Dr. Doolittle, toss in some of the craziness of Grant Morrison and add superheroics to it. Why not? That'd be great, And, yeah, you could have those weird scenes. Like, could you imagine, like, Buddy Baker, all right, kids, have a great day at school. And then he looks at his wife and it's like, hey, we got some alone time. And then all of a sudden, he starts making out with his wife. And then the family dog is like, yeah, go get it. Like, oh, crap. This feels weird.
Yeah, I would love to see Buddy Baker. I think that especially if you go with certain runs, we could see a lot of cool, interesting things happening with that character in a TV series or a movie, like either way. Last on our Instagram is at Mick_Shea, who put down Martian Manhunter. Now, we've had live action versions of Martian Manhunter. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to see more versions of live action Martian Manhunter. Most recently we see the actor David Harewood playing him on Supergirl. Back in Smallville, we had the actor Phil Morris play him. And according to Zack Snyder, every time that you see Harry Lennox in one of his DCEU movies, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Justice League, he is actually playing Martian Manhunter as that army general.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it would definitely, he's a fun character. He's an often forgotten character. So if I played him, if you did him as a show, I'd put him in the 1950s, put him in, I think it'd be fun to have, like, there's a lack of superheroes, but there's also a huge, irrational fear of paranoia going on. I think that'd be fun to, he's like, well, how do I blend in? What do I do? I feel this responsibility to help, but I can never be my true self. So that could be definitely fun to play.
Yeah, I think that we've said this before, that Martian Manhunter really ends up becoming the heart of the Justice League for us. So why not play up that version of his character? We get to see a little bit of that, I feel like, in Supergirl, but I don't feel like David Harewood is allowed to stretch too much, so to speak, as the character. So there's that. Over on our Facebook, first person to respond was Daniel Barroso, who is another host of on here on Geek Elite Media. He just wants a Kyle Rayner show. We have yet to see Kyle Rayner in live action as a Green Lantern. We've seen Hal Jordan, but I think that's the only live action Green Lantern we've seen so far. Is that correct, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, we do have Guy Gardner in that failed Justice League pilot, but yeah, our only live action experience is Hal Jordan. So,
wait,
Kyle Rayner.
We also have a live action Alan Scott in Smallville, I believe.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we do have hints towards Alan. So yeah, but yeah, very, very, not very many live action Green Lanterns as we have actual comic book Green Lanterns.
I mean, there's so many comic book Green Lanterns. How have we not had more live action ones yet? Which is going to change. We have the TV show coming out on HBO Max here soon. So I don't believe Kyle is supposed to be a part of that show, but you never know.
Yeah, no, and Kyle would be fun. I really like. I think it's funny because we've talked about this before. Like when Ron Mars, one of the co-creators of Kyle Rayner, he just would beat up his baby, like constantly, like, you're not good enough. And it was really Grant Morrison when he had him in JLA that had the character grow and really gave him voice and had him do amazing feats. So, I mean, I would definitely love to see Kyle get that spotlight, but I definitely want more of draw from Grant Morrison's writings than anything else.
One of the characters I threw out on Facebook, is not one of the characters I'll talk about later, is the Element Man Metamorpho, Rex Mason. I just love that character. I think he's fun. He's kind of like the Fantastic Four and Plastic Man put together. So why not? Why not give me that character? I don't know if he can hold up a whole series on his own. Basically the reason why you don't get a whole series of his own anymore. But him showing up as a supporting character would be pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, the groundwork was laid in Wonder Woman 1984, so definitely play with the character some more. There's tragedy in him. And it's funny because it's like for what Swamp Thing goes through, you could definitely play that with Metamorpho, where there's been times where it's like his body's been alive, but he's not Rex. So that could be interesting. And then when Rex comes together, it's like, am I really Rex or am I just these elements pretending to be Rex? And then I would love to have somebody slap him in the back of the head and be like, oh, quit getting all Alan Moore on yourself.
Then we have Joe Gould. Guel, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your last name. He put the question and then he added a GIF, so it's very much the question Vic Sage, not the question
Renee Montoya.
Renee Montoya, thank you. We've talked about this, on repeat. We love a Vic Sage in live action at this point. I don't know why we haven't gotten it yet. I don't know if there's a thing with Steve Ditko's family or estate or whatever, or if they just don't want to detract from Rorschach at this point. But please give me Vic Sage in a live action something.
Yeah, no, that'd definitely be cool to see him. Have him team up with some of his Charlton character friends. That'd be even better for me.
Raul Marquez, Booster Gold. It would be cool to see him in the 25th century, then time travel back to our time. Yeah, give me something set in the future. Why don't we have anything set in the future? We have so many characters that are set in the future. Give me Booster Gold, rundown Booster Gold, who tries to be a superhero in the future in the 25th century first, but then after being a failed football player and then traveling back to our time.
Yeah, no, I think that'd be fun. It'd be fun to kind of see more of that life of Booster Gold, the behind the scenes. I know Jeff Johns and Jeff Katz, when they did their Booster Gold series, they showed more of the relationship that Booster had with his father. So that'd be fun to like play that up and, again, sneak in another Charlton character, and you've got me for sure.
Matt Roberts of the We Are Entertained podcast, a show that both of us have been on in the past, put down the Wonder Twins. We got Jana and Xander?
Something like that. I know it's Jan and Zan, so
Jan and Zan, okay. I mean, that would just be a funny show. Just give me the comedy of the two of them, fighting crime, helping out people using their weird powers, and then acclimating to Earth life, because we got to remember they're aliens. They're from outer space. So give me that show. I'm all for it.
Yep, just as long as we get Gleek in there as well.
And then the last one on our Facebook is John Richard Nelson, and he threw out some obscure ones. We got, I'm torn between Arm Fall Off Boy and Dog Welder. So I don't really know either one of these too well. I know Arm Fall Off Boy is more than likely what Nathan Fillion is going to be playing, the grown-up version of that in the Suicide Squad from James Gunn. And if Arm Fall Off Boy, his name is so literal, that's what he does. And as I've come to learn, if the same thing happens is for Dog Welder, I am not okay with this. Do not weld dogs together.
There's the secret origin of Cat Dog.
I mean, do you know anything about either one of these characters, Chris?
No, I think I've heard the names in passing, but yeah, I don't know if I'd be watching.
All right, now over to our Facebook, our Twitter, where we got the most answers. Why did I go the other direction? I'm sorry, everyone. We have, first up is at MarSanJ47, which is Martin Sanchez, who gave us a lot of great ones last week. Kyle Rayner, he wants to see a Kyle Rayner also, and I even asked him, because his picture, his avatar picture is of Kyle Rayner. I said, so obviously you're a fan of Kyle Rayner. He's one of your characters. Who would you like to see play Kyle Rayner? Sorry. He came back with the actor Tyler Posey. I believe Tyler Posey is from the Teen Wolf TV show, if I remember correctly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so we already talked about Kyle Rayner. Alex Lusardi, who is a friend of the podcast network, came back with Terry McGinnis, no question. Yes, we want to see live action Terry McGinnis in a movie or a TV series. I know that the internet itself is clamoring for Michael Keaton to play old Batman in a Batman Beyond show. I personally would like to see the actor that played Volstagg in Thor. He also played the Punisher in Punisher Warzone. I don't know why, but I'm blanking on his name, the actor's name right now. It's Ray something, but I think he would make a great old man Wayne. But either way, give it to me. I want to see it.
Now, the monkey's paw twist, though. Since you asked just for Terry McGinnis, that's all you get. The Adventures of a High Schooler in the Future.
Yeah, there you go. You're right. You don't get the Batman part. You just get Terry McGinnis. Curious Curmudgeon with Q's put down Jack Ryder the Creeper. He wants to see Harry Shum Jr. play Jack Ryder the Creeper specifically in CW's Superman and Lois, or a solo. So he also tagged Greg Berlanti, the CW, and HBO Max, which is great. Good, very, very cool. Very cool of him. And he gave us a picture too. He has a picture here of Harry Shum Jr. To compare to Jack Ryder, and then also Harry Shum Jr. without a shirt on to compare to the Creeper. The Creeper is such a cool character. I'm sorry, what, Chris?
You're going to have to make sure the guy is comfortable with running around, because it's just red Speedos, a lot of body paint, and that weird red boa.
Yeah, the Creeper is just a very strange character. If I remember his origin correctly, it's the Joker taking a news reporter and trying to recreate his his own origin of being dropped in the vat of acid and chemicals, and it didn't quite come out the same. He decides to be a hero as opposed to a villain, correct?
I know that was from the animated series. I don't know if that's the actual comic book origin.
Wow, okay.
Okay, so I pulled up his wiki to look at this, and this is crazy. Okay, so check it out. His first origin, his transformation into the Creeper involved activating a device that granted superhuman abilities while also causing his face to be covered in yellow makeup, his hair to be concealed by a green wig, and his clothing to be instantly replaced by a yellow and red costume with green trunks and a sheepskin cape. As the Creeper, Ryder then shifted his voice tone and acted chaotically in order to intimidate foes and protect his identity. Wow. Yeah, that's but again, the origin you brought up, because that came from the new Batman Adventures, I think that's the better origin. It makes a heck of a lot more sense.
When was he created? What is he, a Silver Age or is he Golden Age?
Well, he's Silver Age. Showcase issue 73 all the way back in April of 68. And
okay.
If they do anything with the Creeper, you happen to be sitting on $1 million comic book there, buddy.
This is true. We can't wait till that happens. Okay. So going on to the next one, movie reviews and 20 Qs podcast. Great podcast there. Go and listen to them. They called for Gimme Booster Gold. We talked about that Booster Gold. I think it's a great property. Set it in the future and then bring it into the past. Also adding in, I'm hoping that like hell that Taika Waititi is playing Condiment King in the Suicide Squad. Yes, please.
Honestly, and what's neat about the flexibility of Booster Gold too is that could be a show that you could also what a great platform for other superheroes to appear in, and since everybody's gaga over the multiverse, you could have hey, let's, if people wanted to, say Jim Carrey wants to suit up as the Riddler, all of a sudden Booster Gold appears in, 1993 or whatever. And it's oh, let me stop the Riddler, so that could be a show where they could have a lot of potential to play.
No, absolutely. I think you're absolutely correct. And you could do all kinds of stuff there.
And something to put in the background of your brain. Okay. So who is the voice for Skeets? Which actor do you have being that character?
I mean, this is going
because he's all over the place.
This is going well. If you were going to pick a name actor that people recognized, you could do Jim Parsons, which kind of makes sense with the whole Big Bang Theory stuff. But if you went with Rob Paulson, famous voice actor, I believe he's the voice of Yakko. No, or Wacko, one of the Warner Brothers from Animaniacs. That would be the best.
The Ninja Turtle.
Is he a Ninja Turtle also?
Yeah. I think he was either Leonardo or Raphael. One of those two.
There you go. So what about you?
For me,
who would you want?
I would pick Kit. I would see if I can't think of his name right now, but the Mr. Feeney himself. I would see if he'd want to come back because I think that'd be great. He would just be the absolute. His tone just sounds rational, and for dealing with a guy like Booster Gold, I think that'd be fun. You'd hear the annoyance in his voice, oh my god, this crap again.
We just talked about him in Journey into Mystery because the second Incredible Hulk made-for-TV movie had him in it. The Death in the Family movie. He plays a evil doctor that is paralyzing a young woman, trying to kill her.
Wow, I never knew the time on the Hulk.
Yeah, just the one episode or the one movie, so 2 episodes technically, but yeah.
That's wild.
Okay, at Rico Reads Comics says a Zatanna show on HBO Max, and yes, because if anybody who listens to the show knows, I'm a huge Zatanna fan, and give me the show where she is starting out to learn magic, or have it when she's older and knows magic, but flashbacks to when she's younger and learning magic. I want to see that world, and I don't necessarily want a Justice League Dark TV series or movie. I want just Zatanna. All those characters can come in, but just her.
I would love to see that episode, like, going back to like an episode with her father, and then all of a sudden, like, oh yeah, I remember one of my first loves. This guy Matches Malone came to learn some tricks from us. I just want to see you light up when that moment happens.
Yes, that's exactly what I want. Let's see. At Michael Hyde, Heide, I believe that's pronounced Hyde. There are so many Green Lanterns. Why did they have to go with the boring, unrelatable dude from the 50s? John, Kyle, Jade, Jessica, Joe. At this point, I'd even settle for Guy. So no love lost there for your character there, Chris. And I know you're not gonna maybe care for this gentleman too much, but he makes a point. There are a lot of other Green Lanterns out there. You even brought it up. There's lots of other people they can go with.
Oh yeah, well, and that's the thing. Like, I don't know. I guess so. It's funny because being a Hal fan, we've dealt with that forever. Everybody just it's the cop out to bash the character, and I get it. There are definitely a character gets published long enough. There's definitely a lot of silly adventures, but at the same time, though, it's like, well, if he's the boring character, why do they keep stealing from him to make the other characters step up? But I mean, I always think, for me, if they were going to do a great Green Lantern show, I think the winning formula is have the four, Hal, Guy, John, and Kyle. Have them in there. And of course, you can have all the other lanterns, like have some Mogo, have some Kellogg, but I think you have those four, and you set it. You set it in that, space cop drama, and you could have definitely overarching adventures, hidden parts of their lives and stuff like that. So that's how I would go. But I mean, at the same time, yes, there is definitely a lot of love for those characters. That's what makes them enduring. It's just rather unfortunate that the fan base of Green Lanterns, it's like, in order to build up one Green Lantern, you have to tear down another. And it's like, no, if Rebirth taught us anything,
they all have certain things that make them the best that they are. And I agree with you, Chris. And I don't know, have I ever told you my idea for a web series for the Green Lanterns?
Oh, what you got?
So, it might not be too great right now because we're going to be getting the Green Lantern Corps show on HBO Max. But if you could do a web series, and you don't necessarily need to have any named Green Lanterns, just have Green Lanterns of sectors that we don't normally talk about, but you make it a reality-based show just like Cops, like literally film it like Cops, but it's Corps, and, you have a camera crew that's following around two Green Lanterns as they go and stop petty crimes instead of big crime, big world-ending stuff.
I'd dig that. That'd be fun, and again, it leads itself that, you could have like one episode like, hey, let's go see what's going on in Gnort's world. And it's like, we got somebody unnecessarily pooping in the dog park and not picking up after themselves. It's like, that's a Green Lantern mission. It's a vital Green Lantern mission.
Yeah, exactly. You could definitely do, and you if you had someone that was good with makeup, you could definitely do a lot of different alien stuff, which would be cool.
Yeah.
At INC Spotlight, I'd love to see a live-action Silverblade adaptation. I have no idea who Silverblade is. Do you recall this DC character?
I think it's like I think he was like a character of the 50s, and like he's kind of more So okay, no, actually, okay, he's the 80s. So it was basically like. I can't tell you because I didn't read it, but I do remember it. It was a maxi series that ran for 12 issues. Forget if he was like a movie star turned superhero, or if it was like, this is a superhero, then they made movies about him or something to that effect. Let's see. The series hero is aged movie star Jonathan Lord, nicknamed the Lord of Hollywood by the press. He is based on swashbuckling actors Errol Flynn and Tyrone Power, and back matter in the comics showed the three being contemporaries and friends. Let's see. Does he have any powers or anything? Nope. So yeah, I think it was just an idea of, hey, let's have a movie star who winds up having to be stepping up to the world of hero.
I think that this would be a great movie for DC to do that is not a DC superhero movie. Like, right? Like the idea of just doing a character that has absolutely nothing to do with the rest of the Marvel or the DC superheroes, but then at the end turn it into something that it does. Like have it so that nobody knows. Like, because honestly, we're two big comic book readers and neither one of us knew anything about this character until now. So
yeah, well, and this is one of those fun ones, like you were saying, where it's like, because DC does a great job of flexing those muscles more than Marvel does. Like Road to Perdition, it's a superhero movie. It's a comic book movie, to better state. The Losers, things like that. So like this one would be a fun one because even as I'm looking at the Wikipedia on Silverblade, I like the idea that there's themes of reality and wholeness. So it's like, wow, this sounds like it could be a really great exploration of what somebody's going through, what makes character, so that could be fun.
Next one up is at the CVR123YT. Green Arrow, Booster Gold, and Constantine. So not quite what we asked for because all three have been made into live action. Booster Gold probably being the least amount with only showing up in Smallville. Green Arrow had his own show. Constantine had a movie and his own show, and shows up in League of Legends of Tomorrow. So, but I'm not angry. Like all three characters, great characters. Love to see more of them in anything. Like I've said in the past, and on this exact podcast earlier, I want to see John Krasinski play Green Arrow, Oliver Queen. I'm all for it.
If anything, to take that idea, we keep all three of them. You have to have a show featuring all three of them. And sadly, it's going to be called Legally Blonde, since they're all superheroes who are blonde.
It's the Blonde Time Brigade. That's what I want. Like, it's Booster Gold picking up Oliver Queen and Constantine to go fight supernatural stuff throughout time with arrows.
But mention those three. That could almost work. And I know you read part one with Deceased. So those characters definitely got some great moments.
Oh,
I can't wait for you to read the next one, Deceased. Oh my God, World's End. As soon as that comes out, you're gonna get a copy, and I don't care if you cry or not. You're reading it.
I probably will. I've done it. I did in the last one. So, at emo Scott Pilgrim. I don't know if you can get more emo than Scott Pilgrim already is, but at emo Scott Pilgrim said, dude, a fucking Hawkman movie would be amazing, or a movie centered around the Question, or imagine a Frankenstein movie about him hunting Melmoth and the Sheeta. DC does have its own Frankenstein monster, which is awesome. He does fight other mythical creatures, monsters.
Yeah. He takes on the darker, even darker side of the DC universe with their horror brigade and all that.
And we talked about the Question earlier. Well, at least we talked about Vic Sage. We've seen Renee Montoya in Birds of Prey. So if you wanted to give us and Renee Montoya was also in Gotham. So we saw that too. But Hawkman, we are going to be getting Hawkman in, or at least a version of Hawkman in the Black Adam movie. He was also in the Arrowverse, if you want to call it that, as one of the original Legends of Tomorrow. And I believe we also we did have a Hawkman in Smallville at one point.
Yes, yeah. We even could go back as far as, what was it? I think it was the Challenge of the Super Friends, the live action, which was just kind of like a roast of Batman and Robin, Adam Westburt Ward. And they did have a Hawkman there. I don't know if he had any lines, but we have seen him live action. It's the one people forget about.
Just a few more. We have, I think, no, that's everybody. That's all the ones that we got. Some definitely really cool choices in there. Anything in particular of those that you would love to see?
Well, I think it's exciting just listening to what people toss out there. There's a lot of love for Booster Gold, and I think it's funny because he's been kind of a throwaway character. I know the 90s didn't treat him well. And there was just kind of like a real dark period. And really after 52, not the new 52, but after 52, that year-long weekly series, when he got his own book with Jeff Johns and Jeff Katz, and then later on Dan Jurgens, the creator, coming in and helping out as well. That's when the character really grew on his own. I know he had a great, memorable episode of Justice League Unlimited. There's a strong potential there, and it's just a shame because, and obviously, people are going to say, well, you can't have Booster Gold without Blue Beetle, and I think that would be a winning, buddy cop superhero thing we haven't seen. And there's always been talk, there's always been hype, and even to the point of with Brandon Routh, like he was supposed to be Ted Kord, and then DC said no because we have plans. And that was a while ago. So it's, DC, the old phrase is, shit or get off the pot. And I'd really like them to do something with Booster Gold. And definitely fans want it.
Hey, the funny thing is that for the longest time, I wanted Zachary Levi to play Ted Kord in the live action thing. He is now our Shazam, though, so I don't think that's ever going to happen. But give me a Ted Kord show or movie. I think that'd be pretty cool. Even if he's like being trained by Dan Garrett, like that'd be pretty cool too.
Oh yeah.
So I hope I'm not cutting into yours. Yeah, I hope I'm not cutting into yours. So what is your property that you'd love to see turned into a live action?
All right. Well, so of course, I wanted to be a little bit selfish here. So I think about my Magnificent Seven of the DC universe. And, we've seen Green Lantern and Nightwing be live action. So that's exciting. And that leaves me with 5 other characters. So I really did. I wanted to use Ted. I thought about it, but I was like, nah, we'll see. So the characters I went with. So I'm going to, if you don't mind, I'm going to pitch 2 shows. So I'll try to go quickly with it. And I like both these characters because they kind of give me one of my favorite TV shows was Quantum Leap. And there's just that feeling of the connection to being the everyman and then also the traveling loner. That's just a fun element. The Incredible Hulk embraced that really well. And so I thought about, that's probably a big influence to why I like some of these characters. So the first one that I would really strongly push for is I'd love to see Captain Atom. I think he would be a great character. He often gets forgotten about, or sadly he gets played up as a government stooge. But the thing is, if you go back and you read his first adventures, like go back and read the 1987 series, and don't I wouldn't even go as far back saying like go pick the 1950s Captain Atom, the original version. I definitely like when DC Comics purchased him and they revamped him, just because he's a Vietnam soldier, a wartime soldier during the Vietnam conflict, and he goes in and he basically winds up accidentally discovering that his superiors are in allegiance with the Viet Cong and their drug smuggling, and so he gets framed for the job. And when he wakes up, his CO is killed. He's holding the knife, and it's like, I didn't do this. And of course, it's like, nope, you did it. And then for some reason, they're like, okay, well, since you're this bad guy, we're going to offer you a deal. You can sit in this alien spaceship that we're going to blow a nuclear bomb up, or you can rot in prison. So he's like, well, if I'm going to die, send me to the future, let's do this. And of course, the explosion happens. They think it's a critical fail. And instead it winds up launching him into the future. Now, back then, the future was 1988. So we'll have to do some revamping. But I think it'd be fun because you have that element of a man who is dealing with a life left behind. You probably wouldn't want to use the Vietnam War because of the length of time, because one of the exciting things about his comic series was the fact that he got to meet his children, now adults. So I think that would be fun. So like they could be supporting characters. So I'd probably have it in a recent conflict, or you don't even need to have it. He's just an enlisted Air Force soldier, pilot. But I would love to play it. I think that could mix in some CSI elements that we don't really see as much in superhero shows. What was it, JAG? Maybe you could do some elements to something like that. That would be fun. So I would cast Josh Duhamel as my Nathaniel Adam. I think he'd make a great pick for it. And then I thought about villains. So Captain Atom, unfortunately, is stuck working for the government, and the government is like, well, hey, if it worked once, then clearly it'll work again. And they get this horrible guy, Mike Schmeck, and they give him Captain Atom-esque powers, and he becomes Major Force, which I think works perfectly because you have the initials MF, so we know what he really is. And, but he is just a big bulk of a man. He does not have a great temperament to himself, nor a good background. And I just thought of his physique, and I was like, a wrestler would be a good pick. And you said something when you were helping me cast. You said heel, and I was like, ooh. And Kurt Angle, I think, would be great for this because he has the physique, or at least he did, that looks very just thick, bulky. So I think he could definitely have that look to him. Playing the heel would be perfect because there's moments where you almost want to feel bad for Major Force, but then you're like, no, this guy's a bag of crap. So I think Kurt Angle could have fun playing that, being the hero that is trying to be a hero, but he really is not. So I mean, I'd love to see those two.
Yeah, not only the heel, but the heel wrapped in the American flag. Like, that's exactly what Major Force is. So that's what that's the character Kurt Angle played for the longest time in wrestling. He is an actual Olympic gold medal winner, so there's that. But it's yes, use his ability. I think that's a great show. To put Josh Duhamel in there, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun. It would just be a lot of there's a lot of humanity to play in there, and plus, I know a lot of people when they think of Captain Atom, they probably go more towards Dr. Manhattan. And, there's definitely some elements to play there, like what does a man do when he has the power of the quantum realm at his disposal? But at the same time, what really is the quantum realm? I don't think we're
Well, don't worry. Ant-Man and the Wasp will teach us in the next 3 years what the quantum realm is. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The only live action versions of Captain Atom we've seen so far are Dr. Manhattan. Like, if you know your history, the Dr. Manhattan is just another version of Captain Atom when they made The Watchmen. So yeah, give me Captain Atom, Nathaniel Adams on the big screen. Let me see what that can look like. What's your other property you wanted to pitch?
All right, so now this is a big one, and this is one of my top tier characters. I love this character so much. Deadman. It's been so close. Like, I think TNT at one point was really doing a lot of like, okay, let's make this a property that happens. So Deadman would be great. This is going to be even more in the quantum leap idea of a man possessing other people and having to do something. So we have a circus acrobat, Boston Brand, is doing his high wire act. He's a scumbag. He's a jerk. He's a very selfish guy. He gets shot and killed during one of his performances. And Ramakrishna, the ethereal entity, decides to say, well, look, I will give you a chance if you become my agent to find your killer. And of course, him being selfish at the moment, he's like, yeah, very much so. So he accepts it and he becomes the ever roaming dead man. So no one can see him or hear him. But of course, the comics change that. They do have one or two characters because it got kind of boring listening to the guy talk to himself. So he is able to talk to some of his close friends. And he just travels the world trying to find his killer. And you could definitely set that out. That has elements of the TV show, The Fugitive, this man on the hunt. And I think it would be fun just because, when you do the possessions, I think it would be great because you could play those elements of Quantum Leap. So when we would see the actor Scott Bakula wearing these ridiculous costumes, or playing crazy moments where it's like, I'm a baby, but I'm a grown man, so I kind of struggled with casting. I didn't have an idea, but Mitch threw one. And again, it comes down to dance, and this man has quite the power over it. Sam Rockwell, I think, would be fantastic. To see him be our Boston Brand. I think he has the chutzpah, the charisma to it. Couldn't have that is 100% Mitch. That is a perfect pick. And plus, I think he as an actor would love it, just the insanity of it. Like, okay, today we're going to film this. So are you ready to do it? So I think he would definitely be gung ho for it.
Yeah, you give me that scene that we see in the White Lantern book, The Brightest Day, where Boston Brand takes off his mask for the longest time, which I think I, as a comic book reader, never knew was a mask. I just assumed that it was he looked dead because he was dead. And it's perfect for Sam Rockwell's face right there. Like I can totally see him pulling that off. And I would love this. I would love to see this movie where you have Sam Rockwell jumping from body to body, trying to help out people, somewhat paying a penance for the lifestyle he lived before he died.
Yeah, no, I think that would be perfect, because we're going to get that character growth, and that's always something that people enjoy. For some of the outlooks on this, I would say, and it's funny because in the comics, these two have not actually met. I don't think they've interacted, but I think a great villain for the Dead Man would be DC's own devil in the form of, oh my God, I lost his name, Neron.
Neron, yeah.
So these two, I don't think they've ever had a story together, but I think that would be perfect. I'd love those two to go up against each other. So again, you helped me out with this one. Josh Holloway playing Neron would be perfect because they're both very charismatic, good-looking, blonde-haired men. So I think that'd be great. And I would love to play with the foils that while Boston has this mission to do these biddings, of course, you're going to have Neron come up and be like, look, I will grant you the revenge you seek. I'll even give you life if you want. And of course, Boston's always going to be tempted because it's like, man, here's the guy who's giving me the ultimate get out of jail free card. Should I take it? And the temptation's always going to be there. And, Boston is not someone to say no. So I think that'd be fun to have an episode C where the bad guy wins. And Josh Holloway, he gives me that vibe of Neron. He can do that.
I mean, yes, I think this would make for a great opposition to each other. So I'm all for it. I think you got a great show there. I am also very surprised that I did not hear a Miracle Man scot-free show or movie come from you.
Well, just because I know, supposedly, I forget the director. She's a real famous, hot director right now.
Ava
but she's
DuVernay.
working with Tom. Yes, and she's working with Tom King, and so I trust we're going to get a good scot-free. So it's like, okay, he definitely can have that boom. I thought about it. That one would be. I think that would be a fun experiment in television to just take it and say, okay, look, we're going to do whatever fits a good season, 6 episodes or something, and then just basically take Tom King's story and put it to adaptation. What happens when a superhero can escape anything, escapes life? How would it go? But at the same time, there's so much more to Miracle Man than just that one story. And I love the character, but I also respect and know that people really aren't going to care to read the adventures of a superhero living in suburbia. I think if you, the way WandaVision's going right now, you could see a superhero living in suburbia make it as a pretty good show. So these two don't want to escape suburbia.
True, but something's definitely going to pull them out. Anyways, my property that I wanted to see, the first thing that came to my mind, especially since last week, for the Marvel side, I did a team. I was thinking, what was a team that I would want to see? Most of the stuff's already been adapted, and I think that was the biggest problem going into this challenge, especially for our followers, because we did ask for something that hadn't already been on live action. Because between all the movies and DC's been doing DC movies longer, it seems like longer than Marvel has. And all the TV shows, we definitely had a lot of different TV shows. And now with the boom of DC TV shows, we've had just about every character be adapted. I still haven't seen, and this is back in 2018, they made an announcement that on CBS, they were going to have a Secret Six TV show.
That's right.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that's happening anymore, probably because the Suicide Squad movie bombed the first time. But we're getting another Suicide Squad movie, so who knows? Maybe they'll come back around. And now with HBO Max a thing, why not make that into a TV show over there? Honestly, if they did a Secret Six show, I would want to see the Thomas Blake team, the one that's created by Gail Simone, because I don't honestly know about the Secret Six from before that. But Thomas Blake as Catman, Scandal Savage, the daughter of Vandal Savage, Ragdoll. I think Bane was on that team at one time, and King Shark. But some of the other characters are very interchangeable. But Thomas Blake as Catman and Scandal Savage on there as Scandal, like, give me that team. The two of them as the co-leads. I want to see it. But my actual answer for this is a little bit of a cop-out because we have seen Our Man on screen. We saw Rex Tyler in flashback as Our Man in Stargirl. We've seen the new Rick Tyler as Our Man on Stargirl. So I want to see a post-World War II setting Rex Tyler Our Man TV series that very much plays out as a procedural. I think you have him be an ex-soldier. He fought in World War II. He used, being in the military to get his degree, be a field surgeon or a field doctor. He comes out as a chemist. While he was away fighting in World War II, his father got killed, mugged on the street. Guy who taught him, everything he knows about being a man. Maybe even a former strongman in the circus or something like that. So, our Rex Tyler is very much in shape and smart. So, putting all this together, he's going to come up with the chemical compound to make himself even stronger so that he can protect anybody else that needs to be protected. Comes up with Miraculo or however you're supposed to say it, and the pill will give him the hours worth of strength and invulnerability and speed and reflexes beyond that of normal men to go and fight crime. But there are consequences to altering your body using chemicals and pills and drugs. He's going to start having, and this is where I'm going to bring in stuff from, the Rick Tyler Our Man. He's going to start having terrible, dreams that are of the future and of the past, and he's going to be jumping around in time. Things are not going to work out for him to the point for mental health. I actually want Matthew Tyler from the far distant future, the Our Man android, to come back and have to have conversations with him. Explain to him what's going on, maybe even give him access to the war log and use that in a TV series. He will get to see his son, Rick Tyler, as a grown man, go through addiction and what it is that he's going to have to deal with in the future, knowing that he hasn't even met the woman that he is going to eventually have a son with. But this is in the future and it's set. There's nothing that he can do about not putting his son through this agony. But then he'll also have an hour of time that he can spend with his father before his father died. Like, it's that pocket universe that Rick Tyler eventually uses to have with Rex, in a bubble. Like, he has exactly an hour that he can go and ask for advice or help or whatever you want before he has to put him back in time. And, he has to go to his fate of being killed during a mugging. Actor wise, we both kind of did a terrible thing. Like, we are not going to make it as casting people because we picked more middle-aged people to play our roles, and they're definitely going for younger actors so that they can play these roles for a long time. But I went with, and we went over how to say his name, but I think it's Toma Penitent.
Here we go. Let me get the robot to say it. There you go. You were close. Tomo Penitent. Most people will know him from Battlestar Galactica. I was a fan of his from Dollhouse. I think he'd make a great Rex Tyler. To play his girlfriend turned wife, Wendy Harris, I would love Maggie Q. If you don't recognize her name, you would definitely recognize her face. She has been in
so many things of genre, and at one time a La Femme Nikita. So she knows how to kick ass. I would play her up as a spy-like character and knows how to kick ass, maybe even an agent of some type of organization, federal organization. Give her a little bit of more meatier character than just be Rex Tyler's girlfriend. Someone that he has to team up with to take down Psycho Pirate. Or the main villain of my show, who isn't necessarily a villain of Our Man's, but to me it makes so much sense to put them together. Perdegaton, a villain from the future that time travels to the past to steal things and make money. I always loved Kevin Mckidd, and I think he would make a great Perdegaton as this very charismatic thief from that time travels. He even did a TV show for NBC for a little while, I think one season, called The Journeyman, where he traveled through time. So give me Kevin Mckidd as Perdegaton. Make this series happen. I will be there to write and showrun as soon as you're ready, DC. HBO Max.
That'd be fun. And like I said, I like it because I think it'd be fun just to explore this man's life and how he went from I like that new twist you're adding to these humble origins with him and his own father. And then it's here's a guy who's just a strong man. And it's but that was a fantastic life back in the day. Mm-hmm. And now it's boom, his life is yeah, Dad, I fought in World War II. I've created this compound that can enhance human bodies, but you also have to keep it secretive because you don't want somebody to get it and then misuse these powers for evil. And there's a lot of drama there. And then, eventually him discovering his son, and it's wow, look what my legacy did. It kind of turned my boy into an addict, there's a lot of great drama in there. And I think that's why we ultimately do like these superheroes. Yes, we love their feats and their extraordinary things, but the drama is also a great thing. So you've got some great stuff to play with in there.
Yeah, I think most people who don't read comic books definitely see it as that it's just those superhero things where everybody is super good and they can't be defeated and stuff like that. But when you get down to actually reading comic books, and I'm not putting anybody down for thinking that about comic books, because that's what you're supposed to think. You're supposed to think they're the funny books. They're for kids and stuff like that. These stories are dark. They're deep. They're full of character. And it's definitely what made me a movie lover too, to look into character and how much you can build character. So TV series, that's exactly where TV series are at now. That's why it's being called the golden ages of TV right now, because we have so many different streaming platforms and places where people can tell stories about character that it is very much the new norm for TV. All right, Chris. There's our pitches for this week. I think we did a great job. I think we can't wait till the DC comes knocking.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of memorable classic television there. I know we're going to have you tune in next week because, these shows can have some great cliffhangers. So I'm excited. Get at us, Warner Brothers, HBO.
If you have other ideas for the characters that we talked about or other characters you'd want to see, please find me on Twitter. I'm at Mitchipedia, GEM. GEM stands for Geek Elite Media. Chris, where can people find you?
You can definitely find me on Twitter as well. I am Stuff I Should Say, should being spelled SHUD. And then check out the writings I do on geekelitemedia.com as well as AIPTcomics.com.
The rest of Geek Elite Media is at Geek Elite Media on Twitter, at Geek Elite Media on Instagram, and Facebook.com/Geek Elite Media is our Facebook page. Check out archived episodes of this podcast and other podcasts on our website, geekelitemedia.com. Please check it out on our Patreon. Our Patreon has exclusive material that only our patrons get to hear. It's patreon.com/Geek Elite Media. Whatever podcatcher you use to listen to this, please rate and review us. It helps spread the word of our network so that others can also join in on the fun. And if you are a Amazon Prime user, you have access to Prime Music. If you can go and give us a follow on Prime Music, it will help spread the word also. all of our podcasts are now available there. But until next time, because we will not be here next week, this is Imagine If on the Geek Elite Media Network saying always remember to geek out.
Geek out.
This concludes our broadcast. Beep.